Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Zwift Community Live broadcast of the virtual Redlands Classic. We are out on Zwift for 3 laps of the Greater London Loop. It's a pretty amazing opportunity that we have here. I've got Dave Toll next to me coming out of Colorado. I'm Nathan Guerra here in the Zwift Community Live studios. And Dave, this replication of something that's not able to happen right now in real life is a pretty amazing event that Project Echelon has put together with a lot of these pro Conti teams today.
Yeah, big thank you to Project Echelon, and a big thank you to you, Nathan. I wish people could see how much this man does behind the scenes and the passion that you have. Now, I'm serious, Nathan. I was thinking about it yesterday. I really want to give you a shout out because people don't realize how much work you do. And the thing I think that's really important is how much you care. It really makes a big difference. So we've set the table. It's going to be an amazing day of racing. This is stage 2 of Redlands. That's where legends are born, as they say. Nathan, we've got our reigning national road champion, Corey Lockwood, in the field. He was the defending champion at Redlands last year. It was a stunning last day victory that he had. He went to the line with world champion eventual world champion Quinn Simmons. They had a 2-man breakaway. They overhauled the entire race in the last half hour there, and he took the yellow jersey. We'll see if that's going to happen today. This is Redlands again since 1985. This is the longest running stage race in America, and we are racing virtually. And Nathan, looks like the guys are already out on course. I see we're just about to hit 1 click in. Everybody, thank you for joining us, Nathan. All right, we've got a strong field. We got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, super strong field. 93 in the pens. I believe 90 racers total, though. 2 or 3 of those will be a couple of the either DSs or streaming avatars that are in the game here. But as we can see, 452 watts currently coming from road there for above and beyond cycling right now. This little, so the first couple of sections of this course, definitely going to be calmer. You might have the initial really fast Zwift starts as usual, but it's probably going to be a little bit calmer in just a moment here. There'll be a right-hand turn into the flatter sections of London with a little bit of a kick for about 30 seconds to a minute. But besides that, we're really waiting for Box Hill out here today. Box Hill is going to be the section on course each time. You're looking at about a 5.5 to 6.5 minute climb full on. And with that climb, I think that is where we're going to see a lot of the separations happening, obviously.
Yeah, Nathan, 63 kilometers of racing for the guys today. They already raced on Friday night. That was our criterium. It was a thrilling race with Holden Comeau taking the win. We have 3 laps, as you said. Box Hill is the feature that will be the most decisive out here. This is the close to a replication of this is the London World on Zwift, and this is basically the 2012 Olympic course that we're racing on. Some of these features that you're going through just shows the creativity of the engineers and the code writers at Zwift, Nathan. This is a very unique world, London, and it was one of the original worlds that we saw racing really being embraced on. It's going to be a dynamic race today. I've never used those 2 words together. Probably won't again.
And now, as we do see the riders here, it looks like getting into Grupo Compacto here at this point. I think everybody's going to be calmed down. It's with a longer race out here today, 63 kilometers in total. Going to be a lot calmer, I think, up front, unless we do see anybody really trying to light things up early. Could start seeing some breakaway situations, but I have a feeling that a lot of the riders are going to keep it calm, be looking forward to this Box Hill, and that is going to be the moments that, a lot of them are going to be thinking about. Now, if you're just tuning in and you're wondering, how are they differentiating the riders, the teams? The main way that is going to be happening is there are some pre-selection on what kits that each one of the pro teams would be using. You'll also be able to see which pro team we're currently looking at as far as the riders go on the right-hand side or at the watching at the top of the screen here. So you can clearly see we're seeing Coat here from DC Bank. You can see Gardner just ahead of him. We do have Corey Williams in here from Legion, as you can see on the right-hand side of the screen. So if you are following along as we're watching each one of the riders, you will be able to see who your favorite rider is at, out on course by following along the right-hand side, who is what, where, and how. But they will be shifting a lot up front as things do separate, as I do anticipate there will be some pretty good separation out there today. As they do separate, we'll be able to get a better look at a more steady riders nearby list on the right-hand side. But as you can see, riders now starting to make their way to the front here. First place currently is going to be Z Greg here. V-Bar Project Echelon hammering away at the front. This is going to be the first selection point if there will be one. Now, a couple of riders already falling off the back here, so the pace has obviously been extremely high. 361 watts here coming from Z Greg, and it's going to be to the back immediately here. Maybe just keeping things calm, though, and making sure that he doesn't waste too much energy on this first little kick. But if you're not attentive, there's going to be a left-hand turn in just a moment here that's going to be very fast onto a downhill we have to watch out for.
Well, Nathan, I want to shout out a rider in this field. It's a great story, Justin McQuarrie. So for folks that are new to Zwift, and I realize less and less of you are, more folks are really aware of how this platform works. But on the Team Skyline squad, he is a type 1 diabetic who more than holds his own out here. And I love the fact that right now, the challenge of getting on Zwift and the reality check that you get when you see where your fitness is compared to many others out there, it takes a brave person even to do Zwift, let alone jump in with this field. And Nathan, you can see that they're going to twist the throttle right now as we've got our first attack. I recommend that you go, well, I'm actually kind of using Redlands Twitter site right now to pick up a roster for riders out here. As you can see that we've got, it looks like this is going to be Gardner making our first attack. Now, Saris, I had a funny note from them earlier, Nathan. We certainly witnessed with Holden's win on Friday night, they did put on a Zwift clinic, didn't they? Talking about the Saris, the Pros Closet team. So they are one of the teams that's really embraced this style of racing. And Nathan, I'm going to throw it back to you because they're making the race right now.
Yeah, it does look like it is going to be Gardner here going off the front for just a moment here. Now it is Saris, the Pros Closet, this new with their new sponsor on board here, Pros Closet, putting a show on the front. And look at the group. They've got 5 involved here. If they continue on with this gap, but they have to put the pressure full on right now and not care whether or not any of their riders can able to hang on. Matt Brent is doing exactly that. 8 watts per kilogram coming from Matt Brent. Ryan Larson going. Gardner's going as well. What a coordinated effort. Can they continue on? A couple other riders are going to have to go across the Brant here at this point and not just pull this peloton along, but it is putting mayhem at the back here. People are already falling off, dropping like flies off the back of here now. Not a very long-lived life if you fall off now. It's going to be a long day in the saddle with 63K ahead of you.
Yeah, there is no feed zone to climb off on, Nathan. You're going to have to keep rolling. Matt Brandt, here's the man who's been making the mark early, but you can see it takes a lot to split this group. Yes, they're punching tickets at the back. We've noted multiple riders getting dropped. You don't see that in a pro race very often, that's for sure. And I would wonder, Nathan, if there's a little bit of a learning curve issue for some of these guys who are maybe jumping in on Zwift. And welcome, gentlemen. And certainly there is not all of it is intuitive out here. I'll put it that way. We're watching this field starting to come back together a little bit. Look over there, over on the right-hand side of your screen. You can see the watts per kilo being made. These are very realistic numbers. That's a very tough bike race. But Nathan, I did want people to know that you can take a look at some of the big teams in this race. We have, I would say the Wildlife Generation is a squad to watch for today. Look out for Sam Boardman and Kent Ross, and certainly Cormac McGeough, a rider we've seen out here racing on this platform quite a bit. So we're going to see the first chase. It's 3 riders there. As Nathan, my heart goes out to these
Patterson,
guys.
Hill, Noonan have all fallen off. E. Davis is just starting to fall off as 2. Maybe he can get picked up. It looks like also York here from Eurogrand Elite falling off. So it looks like this chase group now is going to be forming, and it's going to be a long day unless the front group slows down. You can already see on the right hand side 20 seconds up, and the speed's very, very different from the front group. So going on back to the front group here real quickly, as you can see. The speeds here up at 46, 44 kilometers per hour versus 35. Obviously, just walking away and falling off this early, it's going to be a long day in the saddle.
Sure is. Boy, Nathan, I want to highlight some of the riders to watch here today for sure. One of the things, Brendon Rim is in this field now. He was very quiet out there on Friday night, and I want to make sure he did take the start, but he won the Tour of Beauce, which is up in Quebec, Canada. It's one of the hardest stage races to win in North America, one of the hardest stage races to finish. Very, very competitive. It's got an international vibe, that's for sure. We're going to be looking now as you take a look at the front of this group. They're backing off just a little bit, Nathan, realizing that we've got 3 trips up Box Hill, and it's going to be a different group of riders that you see from Legion riding up on the front. Look out for Thomas Rivard. He's in Indiana. That young man made his way onto the top of the podium in the overall of the 2018. So 2 editions ago, Rivard was the overall winner. Absolutely a rider to watch along with his teammate Corey Lockwood and the rest of that Legion LA squad. I think that they're the big monsters coming into this one. Everybody has to keep their eye on them. I see Rio Grande flashing by. In real life, Nathan, I'm going to go to Rio Grande for lunch today, I think. It's one of the most awesome Mexican places that we have here in Colorado. So Mountain Mex. Actually, it's not Mountain Mex. That's a ridiculous term. But taking a look at these guys are going to be earning their burrito out there today. That's for sure. It's a long race, 63K. So it's going to be well over an hour and 15 minutes before we have this one sorted. We're going to be left, right, and center. We're going to see attacks on the next trip up, or the first trip up Box Hill. This was the main feature in the Olympic Games. Nathan, this is the first time that I ever heard in my life of a uh, uh, mobile phone blockage happened there. There were so many people on Box Hill during the Olympics that it overwhelmed the system. And we're going to have that same energy out there with thousands. Boy, we have seen the numbers growing like just bananas as far as people coming and watching the racing here. And I hope you're really enjoying it. Doylestown Bike Works represented by Smith here. That's a really cool, about the half hour, maybe, yeah, less than an hour away from Philadelphia, where they've got a great weekend of racing, Bucks County. So good job, Mr. Smith, representing beautiful Doylestown, Pennsylvania here. Peloton rolling along quite nicely. I wonder
And we
what
do have a
Fred
quick,
Beans is.
yeah, I'm not sure on the Fred, but probably a coffee. I would think coffee. That's what I would think.
That's a good guess.
Yeah, I would
Good
think it'd be
guess.
coffee for sure. But real quick little announcement to everybody that's just tuning in. We do have a giveaway here. Project Echelon helped put together with a couple of their sponsors, and that's going to be Amp, Human, and Schwalbe are doing a giveaway. Anybody who does want to get involved in the giveaway, all you got to do is head on over to Project Echelon's Instagram and their Facebook. Follow there during the broadcast. They'll be following along for everybody that does throw that follow on over there, and they'll be doing a giveaway from those 2 sponsors on the day. So Amp, Human, and Schwalbe sponsors of Project Echelon. Head on over to their Instagram at Project Echelon Racing, as well. Find them on Facebook for their page. If you follow during the broadcast, it'll be looked at, and you'll be thrown in for a free raffle and contacted if you do win. Thanks a lot to Amp, Human, and Schwalbe for putting that together alongside of Project Echelon for our viewers.
What a great story Holden Camo is, Nathan. Have really enjoyed learning more about the human being. That's one of the things to remember here is, yeah, there's a gaming element, but there's a human being behind that avatar. And Holden is, we've talked about this, is one of the top ranked riders in esports week in, week out. He's a perennial contender for that top spot. They're always updating that. That's why you can't really say any one person is the number one rider, because it's constantly changing, and that's the way it should be. Is they use real time results, and it's a pretty hefty algorithm, isn't it, Nathan, that they use to sort out who the heavy hitters are out here.
Yeah, it is. It is, and it's always updating daily because the racing is always going on daily. So, and, it's similar to for those of you that might be familiar with USA Cycling's. They have an ELO type ranking system for whoever shows up to the race. A certain amount of points are available, and the lowest amount of points, negative points are available, and it's the lowest points you have is actually the highest ranked rider. So you
Like golf.
like golf, exactly. And so you depending on who shows up, there's a lot more opportunity to get a higher rank because it takes more points off of your total depending on if you beat a higher ranked rider. really interesting situation. So depth of field matters in this ranking. It isn't just how many races that you do, it matters who you're racing against too. So showing up to high-end races in Zwift actually matters to get the best ranking you possibly can. So obviously Holden and some of these others targeting races where other highly ranked riders are getting involved. And that's part of Zwift Community Live's goal here, actually, creating this league type situation where we broadcast and put out there those highest end ranked riders and what they're up to. And that's what those riders are going after, obviously. So pretty cool things that are happening there alongside of what Zwift Power is doing alongside these broadcasts and the racing teams out there.
Yeah, world-class events are really based on world-class riders beating other world-class riders, right? I mean, that's really the name of the game, and it makes sense that that's the way they do it. I love that. So, Nathan, this is Redlands Classic. It's unfortunate that we didn't get to race a couple of weeks ago. Today would have been the Gila Monster in New Mexico, racing up to Pinos Altos outside of Silver City. A lot of these guys would have been in Silver City right now. As a matter of fact, they would be about 2 hours from finishing that stage. Usually wraps up around noon. I had heard that our friends at Project Echelon might be working on a virtual tour of the Gila as well. I hope that's
you see
true.
This here, Dave? The Fred Beans is a car dealership, we're being told by Connor Thompson over on
your
the
guess
YouTube
of coffee,
feed.
though.
I thought it'd be a good one.
Pretty good.
I thought it was a good one. And of course, don't read everything. Don't believe everything on the internet. Maybe Connor is trolling us here, but maybe I'm trusting Connor. We're trusting Connor that Connor knows what he's talking about. Thanks a lot, Connor, for letting us know what Fred
He's a good
Beans
man.
is all about.
You
here.
can take his word. You can take his word.
Sounds good. All right, we are heading towards some of the business end, though, of the race out here today, as we are heading towards our first time up and over the top of Box Hill. They'll be descending down into the underground here, very high speeds, and then they'll head on over to the tram track for just a minute, and then a right-hand turn, a left-hand turn through the roundabout, and then it's nothing but business to the top for about 6 to 7 minutes. We're going to start seeing some riders here fighting for position for the first time over the climb.
Yeah, it'll make a big difference. Watch Legion go after it here. And Nathan, I would say this really shows the creativity of our gaming engineers. What we've done here, you're going from downtown London, an exact replication of London, but we needed to get out into the hillside here where Box Hill is. So they invented this way using the tube basically to roll through. And that's a very cool transition, is now the guys are going to get to hit the countryside right out of London. This is where it all goes down, Nathan. Box Hill. Talk about how hard that climb is. You're a guy that's out there racing week in, week out. Where does this one stack up?
It is one of the most difficult climbs. Actually, this one is known as Box Hell. That's a lot of times what people will call. I mean, it is a very, very difficult climb. It's one of the hardest by far. It essentially starts out at about a 5% grade, 7% grading. Actually, we're seeing a bit here as we start into a little bit of the climb here, and it just does nothing but go up to about 7-8%. It undulates a little bit, but essentially you're looking at about 5 minutes all out, maybe 6 at VO2 max at the pace that these boys will be going up. We're seeing 500 watts from the man here from Project Echelon Rock. I mean, it's nothing but suffering. Right-hand turn here, as you're going to see, as they get into the proper parts of the climb, and at the front, taking over in the white jersey. We'll see if we can find the rider. Do you see Kevin Bouchard Hall making his way to the front? 7 watts per kilogram here coming from Kevin Bouchard Hall, actually. It does look like TPC, the Pros Closet Cyrus here, making their way to the front as well. Larson, and they're being very smart about their positioning. First place currently for Ryan Larson, now 176 beats per minute. A lot of control here coming from the Cyrus TPC team a lot, as they know how to race out on Zwift. And look at it start to separate out the back here. Really starting to string out. I think the first selection will be happening here in the next 2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah, this is going to be brutal. There's no doubt about it. Obviously, the Saris, the Pros Closet team came on a mission. I could only imagine what their Discord channel sounds like right now. As you can see, that's going to be that orange and light blue jersey. They've been really, really active here. They're doing damage now. All right, Nathan, we've got about 15 riders at the back that are holding on with the last bit of strength that they've got. And you can see there's some guys tucked comfort. Now, drafting does matter. It makes a big difference on the flats. It's not quite as significant on the climbs, but it is effective. Nathan, these guys, the gaming element of Zwift, like yesterday, we did a really fun ride with Yana. they had the ability to use all of the different power-ups, whether it was the drafting or the burrito or the feather. Not the case here. That's Zach Kowalczyk that you're looking at. He's out of Portland, Oregon, one of my favorite track racers. He's been a part of the U.S. national track team for quite a while. He's an endurance track specialist. He's not a sprinter. Saw him at Redlands last year. He's a really competitive rider. As we're looking at guys now just really fighting, this is where my heart goes out to these guys, Nathan, as this is the toughest spot to be in cycling, where you're just dangling off the back. But the thing is, it's an OSS situation. Only the strong survive out here on Box Hill. And we are really hitting the bottom and the steep part now, Nathan.
Back in with the front of the race here. Lockwood now to the front from Legion, really turning the screws. 500 watts from Lockwood now. And this is it. Looks like Ryan Larson jumping on. The climbers are making themselves known. Look at the back of the pack, just getting absolutely shredded. They can feel the pressure. They taste blood in the water at this point, and it looks like it's happening now out on Box Hill. They're just decimating this pack. Only about halfway up. They got a couple of little turns and then the straightaway all the way to the top. We're about halfway to the top, and already I think they've splintered this pack by about a third.
Corey Lockwood is a monster out of Bakersfield, California, on the Legion of LA team. He's going to take this group and split it in half, Nathan. Apparently, that's the task at hand. I cannot compliment this rider enough. He's done an incredible amount of hard work here, as he is our reigning U.S. Elite road champion. Alex Howes is the professional road champion. Corey Lockwood, the elite champion. And he is turning the screws right now. You can watch these watts per kilo. I mean, Lockwood, it's 7.5 watts per kilo right now. This man is a human supernova. He's going to be dimming the power grid in London with this effort. And look at this, Nathan. He's riding away from the field. Corey Lockwood has thrown down the gauntlet very, very early. This man is on fire right now. Wow.
Yeah, Ryan Larson trying to respond. He's dragging everybody along here. Now it does level out just a little bit. It goes to a 5% gradient, and so you will get a little bit more draft, and you can see Larson here not wanting to allow this to go, and it looks like Larson kind of wants the rest of the pack to hold on to his wheel. 180 beats per minute here. It does look like Project Echelon's trying to stay involved as well. It does look like Brendon here coming from, it looks like Toronto Hustle right onto the wheel as well. Hustle into that wheel. There's Wart there, Landis Track. It does look like Stars PPC. 2 riders right behind there, but this is the selection. The main group is being shown for who they are. And this is, I was not expecting it to blow up this much, but first time over the top, Lockwood has shown that he does not want any kind of a sprint to the line. Let's just make the selection early and see who stands after they throw down very early on. This is all-out brawl right from the get-go, it looks like, rather than sitting in at all. Not playing nice today, that's for sure.
Yeah, the Donnybrook that we were looking for has arrived today. So at Redlands, this would be the Sunset Loop stage. So you can see that both teams are motivated. Nathan, there's been some good-natured Zwift Community trash talk going on between the esports riders and the in-real-life teams that have joined. And one of the in-real-life teams that clearly comes in as a 5-star favorite here would be the Legion of LA squad. That's Corey Lockwood. You can see the indoor, I want to get back to the Saris, the Pros Closet team, because they've been having a lot of fun with it along the way, but they're representing the esports crew really, really well right now. We've got ourselves a battle royale. That's going to be Wouter Zwart. There is no better name in racing. The Landis Trek Rider. This is a team out of Arizona. This was the team that Quinn Simmons rode for when the Junior World Road Champion. He now has made a jump from Landis Trek to the Trek Segafredo team. There's been some great stories coming out of the sport, but let's take a look at what's going up on the front right now, Nathan, because we are seeing this group has lost, I would say, well, certainly no passengers left, because if you're in here, you've been doing an awful lot of work. We're making our way up and over the top of Box Hill now. That's the first of 3 trips. It's 63 kilometers of racing here on the Greater London Loop. Nathan, this is brilliant racing here.
Does look like the lead group has gotten away. Bauer's on the back. To me, Bauer's on the back of it as they are about to hit that second kicker over the top of Box Hill. They do go over the KOM, and then there's this second wall, and the wall is like just 13% gradient, I believe it hits up into. It's up in the 10% now at this point. 10%, I think, actually, is where it kind of maxes out at. Definitely some attacks happen on there. You can see Ward along with Kirbo, and then it's going to be Marv and Lutz there on the chase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 riders with it looks like a legend from Project Echelon. It's going to be a legend Zach, I believe. Apologies on the pronunciation of the name there, but then it's also going to be a chase here coming from a Norwegian rider, actually. Road is followed up by Hit It there coming from Legion in this chase group. So that's a situation in the chase group. We're going to go back to the front of the race, though, to see if it was blowing apart anymore after that little bit of a bump here. Walter Schwartz now on the back of the group here, just hanging on, it looks like, as the pros closet makes a move here and tries to maybe get more speed off the front here. So it does look like Rotterdam here now up in the 77 kilometers per hour now. With it is going to be Cyrus the pros closet with 4 riders trying to stay involved at the front end. And then there's a little bit of a chase group now starting to form a little ways behind here with Wetmore as well as Beck and Carr. This is insane how many riders are already starting to pop off very early in the racing already as we head through the trees on the lower ends on the opposite side of Box Hill. This is a descent actually Fox Hill through the Surrey's Hills. If we were to do it in the opposite direction, a little bit steeper and about the same amount of time to the top though, but definitely a much steeper climb and a very steep descent.
In the United Kingdom, you'll hear the term punching above your weight or their weight. That's what Skyline is doing right now. Really impressed by this team as they are more than holding there. So we've got the first legitimate, I would say, selection has been made, Nathan. Taking a look at what I'm going to say about a 20-rider group here, a little bit more than 20. Let's see who's made this move. I would say your winner of this race, when we're done and dusted at 63K in, is going to be coming out of this group. I wouldn't expect too many more riders to chase back in. Nathan, the reality of if you can't hang with this group over the top of the climb, rejoining on the descent because they continue to keep the accelerator down on the floorboard and they're going to just duct tape it there. Adam Carr representing Skyline very well. We're going to be jumping around here, Nathan. It's really at this moment in the race, these guys have to take a deep breath because they're going to realize that we still have a long way to go. But they brought out the 20-pound sledgehammer and are just wailing away. I think we're going back and picking up Chase 1 right now. You're going to see that on our split screen here. They have their work cut out for them, Nathan. But one thing that you would hear from a director from the team car or in your Discord would be, guys, just organize. Let's keep our head above water here. Start working together. That's almost always the key. If you're going to rejoin the group, you have to organize. You can't have guys desperately trying to do it by themselves. You have to work as a unit. And it's really hard to get a group. I mean, most of these guys right now are going to be a little bit disappointed in their effort, I would think. We're going to go back now up to the front of the bike race, the Tête de la Corsa, the Mexican standout Eder Freire here. Eder on the Legion of LA team. Always a rider to watch, Nathan.
Very steep section out of the underground. 15% gradient. They're going to be feeling that on the smart trainers right now as it looks like Legion now backing up just a tad. I mean, you got to keep the speed over the top of here, though. 30 kilometers per hour currently coming from the route. 36 now as it pumps up. It does look like Williams here. Corey Williams now 169 beats per minute coming from him. Does stretch out a little bit if they do want to test the legs through there. Not at times the effort, if you do put it on the, put any kind of a kick here on the front, as we do see Walter's Ward on the front here, it doesn't always pay off because of this flatter section. You have to really whittle it down a little bit more as you go through this section of the course and you leave that underground. But it does provide a little bit of an opportunity to try and break the pack if anybody's really hurting after that Box Hill. But it's such a long rest on the descent off of Box Hill. A lot of times there's plenty of kick in the legs. But watch out in the final few Ks, you know, that section on the last lap or the second lap, after there's a little bit more energy zap from the legs, that section, of course, is going to be one where somebody could really put a flyer off the front into the last few kilometers and not look for a sprint type situation. If we do come down to 1 or 2 riders as well, it's definitely going to be a tactical place out on course in order to try and break a few of the other riders off.
Hey, Ben Schmuti made this group. That's good to see. He's on the Gateway Development Team. That's a squad based out of St. Louis. Chris Creed does a tremendous job working with Trek to help develop the next generation of riders. I mentioned on Friday night, that's the team that helped get Sepp Kuss into the World Tour. It's all about making those steps. We see Kevin Bouchard Hall. Kevin, what a great story he is. Go check out that Ted King video that or he made with Ted King about, it was really, wouldn't you say it was Kevin Bouchard Hall mentoring Ted King on how to be an effective Zwifter, or
Yeah,
especially esports racer.
there was also a little bit of a like gonna be dad soon situation or dad soon
Right.
situation happening there as well. And I think the mentoring into how to be a dad inside riding trainers, a part of the dirt crew unofficially, obviously, but pretty cool of Kevin to show up and do that. And they did the Richmond Worlds course actually, which is a very difficult course too. And it was really fun to watch and see how the two were mixing their knowledge and watching Ted's absolutely suffer on the bike to try and close some gaps. But Kevin did get the best of him on the day, and it mainly had to do with they did a comparison, I think, of their wattages and their averages and how they drafted, and it just went to show knowing how to race out on Zwift and knowing the tactics and how to control your avatar. It definitely has tactics to it. Definitely has the ability and some learning about the interactions, and so Kevin definitely showed that in that video. But we do have the chase group here. It does look like it. T Ward from First Bank here was able to come back. Good to see. That was a solid effort for him, backing off the 151. They are working well together. It's within a minute. You drop off once, though. A lot of times you get back and over the top, over the climb again. It's almost a death now, knowing that the pace was just a little bit too high. There may be a recovery, maybe get some sugar and some water in the legs, and this chase one might be able to come back. There's another chase behind a little ways. Looks like with a solid group as well. If they get together here, and the front group does not really, up that pace. Let's go ahead and see what's happening here. This is a group where we see of 1, 2, 3, 7 riders or so. Little ways back, then Matt Brent at 6 watts per kilogram, trying to bring things back a little bit here with some riders right behind him as well. With Hayditz in there, it looks like Strohmeyer, Collins. There's some firepower in here, but look at Matt. He's having to back off though.
I think I've recognized that you're an optimist now, Nathan. that's for sure, because I got some people in my chat like Alec Cowan saying that's not a chase group, that's a dropped group. And I would have to say that the reality of how hard it is to chase back it's an immense task. So we're going back to the front group now. And again, part of the problem too is it's not like in real life where these guys might get tactical and let it turn into a Mexican standoff where everyone's looking at each other to make a move. They keep racing out in esports. It's one of the most impressive things about to these athletes is you never really get a break out there. So going back in and picking up this group, certainly though, I'm with you, Nathan, pulling for that chase group. It's nice that these guys don't throw in the towel, that they keep going for it. But what's even nicer is when you've made the selection, you've got good legs, and you're feeling like you might get some kind of a result, because in this sport, it doesn't happen often enough, that's for sure. So I got to give a shout out to the Toronto Hustle team, that Canadian squad, really representing well. They've got a few riders that have made this selection. Travis Samuel is a rider of note. He spent some time in a leader's jersey at the Tour of Utah in his career. So always remembering Canada, super strong, pound for pound, ounce for ounce. That nation internationally is one of the best. So taking a look at this group, Nathan, that's 30 riders, I would say. We're going to have to figure out who all the usual suspects are. Corey Williams, if he's in this group, he will remain the most dangerous sprinter. I can't imagine many people would argue with that. There he is, Williams, right in the sweet spot. Such a savvy rider, racing out of Compton, California. He is the California State Road Champion. I saw that our friend Brad Soner was having some fun with a jersey competition. It was down to the final 4 the last I checked. The Legion of LA jersey, particularly the California State Champion version, and they're made by Rafa. Can you imagine how cool that would be to have? Well, you got to earn it, though. And there's Tyler Williams on the team. So just to be clear, there was some conversation about this on Friday night. There are 3 Williams brothers, CJ, Corey, and Justin. CJ is the one that is this insanely talented Zwifter. He's like a level 48 Zwifter, Nathan. That's just mind-blowing. That's having your PhD in Zwift. Now, his 2 brothers are 2 of the best racers in America today, Justin Williams and Corey Williams. Justin is not in this race, but he's actively racing right now, and they are the cornerstones of that Legion of LA team. They took matters in their own hands and built a team around their talents and their desires. What they're doing is groundbreaking. It's revolutionary. I'm a huge fan of Legion of LA. And then they bring on this group of riders that have this really cohesive vibe that's as cool as it gets in cycling right now. It's really really hard. If you're not a fan of Corey Williams, I don't know what's wrong with you. So they're going to look at the splits happening right now. I'm going to throw it back to you, Nathan, because obviously things are hotting up out here on the Greater London Loop.
Yeah, we're heading in to the roundabout here out on the Greater London. They'll be splitting up just a little bit. Interesting to see that the moves are being made through here. Not usually a section where you can really get away, but it does look like something is happening here. And again, it's going to be Stars Pro's Closet making the moves on the front. It's going to be Talbot here alongside of Ryan Larson that are driving the pace. It gets shut down, it looks like, by Gutenplan as well as DC Bank. Landis Trek is in there as well. It looks like Project Echelon playing it very smart at the back of the pack. They work together to close that down. We'll start being able to recognize the jerseys out here as well that have been selected for the teams specifically. So as you do see, it is going to be Cyrus the Pros Closet. They do have their indoor specialist kit on still. They'll have to get a kit update in the game, but you'll be able to recognize them in the light blue and orange. Stand out for sure. Each one of the teams though have been assigned a kit so that there is some recognition about who's riding for who. You'll be able to recognize Legion in the Minecraft. I'll call it the Minecraft digital look here with the blue and white. One of the cooler kits, I would say, in the game as well. Looking through, we'll see Cormac McGee here now with one of the earlier Zwift kits. As you can see here, it's one of the earlier open ups and unlocks. I believe it's right around somewhere between level 1 and 10 that they're wearing here. So for Wildlife Generation, looks like the only rider I can see in this jersey in this lead group, actually. So I think he's the only rider from Wildlife Generation that's been able to make the split. As we do go along, I'll try and call out each one of the jerseys that each one of the riders are wearing as we do highlight each of the teams that have made the split.
This is obviously the group that you want to be in right now. And Nathan, we're really getting close to the midpoint of this race. But in actuality, we're only about a third of the way done because they've got 2 more trips up Box Hill. That is the featured climb here on the Greater London Loop. So I'm going to say that they whittled this down. We started with 83, calling this about 20. I think that's going to be pretty close. Cormac McGee, one of our favorites out of Durango, Colorado. Actually, you know what I was noticing? I think Durango is so close to New Mexico that I think he actually lives in New Mexico, which could be just the greater Durango metro area, I guess you would say. But Cormac is from Ireland. You're going to see Ireland is one of the nations that's really embraced Zwifting. I love it. Shout out to Grace Smith of the Celtic Queens team who was watching earlier. As taking a look, it's a calm before the storm, Nathan. There's going to be an attack, no doubt. Corey Lockwood lit it up last time, our defending in real life Redlands Classic overall winner. He could go back to back. That'd be a pretty interesting thing to look at on a resume, Nathan, to see a guy winning the actual race and then the virtual race the next year. You're not going to see that happen too often.
Absolutely great, actually. What a story to tell it would be if he does take this down. You can
it really would be. It would add some credibility, wouldn't it?
Definitely. And toward the back of the pack now, being really smart, it looks like, as we're 27.8 kilometers into this 63-kilometer race. Almost about to hit the halfway point, 35 minutes in. A very different race to the usual Zwift racing that we do see in the broadcast. You know, a lot of times we have these fast and furious 45 to 1 hour races, a lot of times favoring somebody who's a little bit more of a puncher. I think today we're going to go well over the 1 hour mark, and it's going to put some tiredness into the legs, I think. And I believe it's going to favor a little bit different of a rider. I think a lot of the pros I did hear from Eric Hill were giving some feedback. Hey, can we have something a little bit longer? Let's do something that's a little bit more toward what our genre actually is when it comes to road racing. And I think that was part of the reason why 3 laps of this Greater London Loop were selected. And I think it is going to favor those who are used to racing out on the road a little bit more than we've seen with the esports teams. And I think the Pros Closet, maybe this first time up over the top, of Box Hill, showing their cards a little bit, but I think the aces might be in the sleeves of the pros today with this longer race out here today.
Well, nice to see Tim Bauer in this move. Hey, Nathan, I just had a question from Ben Wolf. He's out of Connecticut, really another one of the guys who, the economy of being a pro cyclist is really tough. And Ben should have a contract racing still, but he was always one of the good guys out there. And he's asking, are these guys all wearing heart monitors? How valid is this? Let's talk very quickly about Zwift power and how we validate these efforts out here as we get a look at Corey Lockwood. So the answer, the short answer is yes, they are. This is very validated. Nathan, can you elaborate for me?
Yeah, no problem. So we specifically at Zwift Community Live work with different community organizers, and all of the races on Zwift Community Live are organized by the community. When you do look at anything Zwift Live or with Zwift Productions, that is organized by Zwift, by races that they are putting on. And so within the community, there's different tiers of racing. If we just jump into a Tuesday night, the Volley series, that was not all about checking in on who's got what, where, weigh-ins, or any of that kind of a thing. And then you start tiering up a little bit higher and higher as far as who open races. So anybody can just jump into the race, but afterwards it's called. The race is then called for the results because people are checked on whether or not they are verified on their account on Zwift Power. So that's another tier of racing that's kind of above that, just kind of show up casual racing, where it's kind of like afterwards we'll check things out. Now this is an event that is a private or secret event that only certain individuals can get into. And so it is up front, the riders are being verified with weigh-ins. There's a check on what power source that they are using. And Eric Hill with Project Echelon has gone through that process with each and every one of the riders and the teams in order to make sure that everybody's showing up with a valid power source and are being double checked afterwards as well through ZwiftPower.com. So there's definitely a process to getting into these races. As far as the heart rate compulsory, I'm actually not positive because I do see a lot of the heart rates.
Right.
It
A lot
doesn't
of them
seem
don't,
like
like
that's
Corey
compulsory
Lockwood.
today. Yeah, so I'm not
Right.
positive if that was actually compulsory, but I would have to say, as somebody who's very familiar with racing out on Zwift, that power is power, and if they're using the right power sources, then with this community organizer, which they have made their own rules, they do not have to. Now, there's a whole other thing in the background with what the current ZADA and UCI rules that are being released for esports for the events that are being governed there. Yes, it is compulsory in those events. As a community organized event, they have made this is what they have made for this event specifically. I didn't look and see if it was compulsory. I have a feeling it's not, and they're just double checking power sources. I would say that is fine if the power source matches up with what they're able to do across somewhat of a digital passport. So that's
There you go.
that's where my take is.
No, I love it. Thank you, Nathan. My take is going to be much shorter, but what I'm going to say is I believe what we're watching is real. Let's leave it at that. I'm a pretty jaded person. I mean, you've been through the last 20 years in pro cycling. You've seen it all. Well, I think these guys are on the up and up. I really do. So let's leave it at that, Nathan, and pick up the action here at the front. 31K in, 30K to go. So we're past the halfway point. They've got Box Hill to look forward to, that's for sure. Taking a look now at some of the names that we've got up in this front group here. Well, Mr. Hill himself has made the move. Adam Carr for Skyline is there. A lot of the usual suspects, but Nathan, to be honest, I think there's some riders doing a really good job of keeping their head above water in this group. You mentioned Corey Lockwood has been sitting in this group, doing a really good job, I think, of recharging his battery before we're going to see another withdrawal at the pain bank being made. And nobody likes when they see Corey Lockwood walking into the pain bank.
Just a really quick shout out one more time for those that might just be tuning in. We do want to make sure that everybody knows there is a raffle and a giveaway that is going on with Project Echelon and a couple of their sponsors, Amp Human as well as Schwalbe, are giving away some product. If you want to head on over to Project Echelon Racing on Instagram as well as their Facebook, you hit a follow during the broadcast and they will make sure to check out who has done that. And it is just a free giveaway for just heading on over to there and throwing them a couple of follows. Thanks a lot to Schwalbe and Amp Human for sponsoring that giveaway out here today in this Redlands Classic race. So Ward here, there's a chase, as you can see at the bottom of the screen there. That chase is 55 seconds back here at this point. So I'm not sure they're going to be taking the right-hand turn in just a moment here. I don't think that this is coming back, but they are definitely staying motivated. I mean, after a climb like that up on the top of the box hill, let's just go and check in with them real quickly. This is chase one. There is a chase behind them as well. It's only about 35 seconds back. Not sure that's going to be coming back as well, but they're definitely not throwing in the towel. I mean, 350 watts, 160 beats per minute on the front. They're working together here. T. Ward, C. Hall, Lutz, we're seeing is there, Marv as well. I mean, this is a solid group, about 7 riders. They're trying to bring time back. In the last about 3K, they've brought about 15 to 20 seconds back, but the Box Hill fireworks are about to go off. They're going to have a huge effort to close things down.
Yeah, and the reason that is because it's getting a little tactical up in the front in the, I mean, what you would call the peloton now, right? The peloton is going to be the biggest group out on course, and that group right now is that front group. So there's going to be a split in that group up Box Hill the next time. These guys, though, I give them credit, Nathan, no doubt about it. Just staying focused out there, working well together, and if you went to the real Redlands Classic when they come in on the final day of racing, that Sunset Loop, and this is stage 2 of our virtual Redlands, you'll see groups exactly like this because there's a tremendous amount of pride in finishing and holding on for the best possible result. As we take a look now, Bouchard Hall has been up in this front group the entire time. He should certainly be getting some attention. If you're looking around as a new esports racer, this is a guy with a tremendous amount of experience. You can feel pretty good about where you're at if you're in the group with KVH right now. As we take a look, Nathan, yeah, I'm wondering how many other Legion of LA riders are in this group. We know Corey Lockwood is there, no Tyler Williams is there, and Corey Williams is there. I'm expecting we've got 2 more. I haven't seen the name Rivard come across
Yeah, I have
lately,
not seen either. So let's
which is a
quickly double
surprise
check
if
here.
he's
Yeah, it
in the
is a little bit
race.
of a
Yeah.
surprise. Yeah, definitely. Looking through, and it does seem that as amongst this lead group, I do have a list that'll be happening here in just a
Oh,
few
thanks,
minutes. We
Nathan.
do, and as soon as I do get that going here, I'll be able to bring in exactly who's all there. We are having a little bit of a struggle with ZP right now with Zip Power, and as soon as we do get that list going, we will let everybody know every single name here that is up front here. But
Okay.
I do not believe Rivard has made this lead group.
Huh.
Interesting enough
I
to
don't either.
see.
I'm with you.
Looking through, it looks like probably dropped off the first time up and over the top here. Now to the front again, Lockwood is setting up, it does look like, to try maybe turn the screws again. And he was the man who put the hurt in halfway up and over the top. It looked like he'd done his homework about Box Hill and where you want to go.
Certainly.
And it does look like Corey now has made this as well. They've got a climber and an all-out sprinter. They definitely have the tools here to win this race, Legion.
Yeah, our friend Charlie Eisendorf talked about how important it is that you know the course, doing that recon work. And clearly, Lockwood is the kind of guy that does his homework. He doesn't shy away from the hard work. I got to tell you, this is like if you're sitting in this group right now, you know what's coming, Nathan. It's more than clear that Corey Lockwood is going to hit hard again. You got to brace yourself. Buckle up, Buttercups. Here we go. This is going to be a tough trip up Box Hill here. Nathan, I'm going to go ahead and lay it down now. This group will be half as big the next time they make their way over the crest of the climb. Get ready here.
Yeah, good. I think that's a good call here, as I believe a couple of the riders, you saw how strung out it was the first time over the top as we are heading into the straightaway before the right-hand turn into the climb proper. But the wildlife generation on the front, that is going to be Cormac McGill. It looks like now above and beyond with Linder, now to the front 6.3, just setting up most likely in anticipation because it's up to 180 beats per minute. If you're at the back of this pack and you don't have the confidence or the power, making your way to the front early on, a little bit of sacrifice can save your race, as there is a little bit of a draft. We get into the actual climb here. 7% uphill grade at 179 beats per minute here coming from this rider here. Zwart now to the front. It looks like 165. A lot more wiggle room with the heart rate, as you can see there from
No kidding.
Zwart. So it looks like really the cream of the crop is being shown in some of the data that we have here now, as we've got Beck now making his way to the front as well. And then it's going to be Talbot. So now Saris, the pros closet, now to the front as well. Lockwood, though, doing what he does, heading to the front and just making it difficult. 7 watts per kilogram. Looks like on this climb may be starting a lot earlier than he did on the last one.
Yeah, good luck sag climbing, which is the technique that you were talking about, Nathan, where you ride your way. If you know you're going to have trouble hanging on to the group, you try to get up to the front when you hit the first part of the climb so that you can stay and hold on to the bottom or the back of the group as you go over the top. It's going to be really tough to do right now because Corey Lockwood is just going to set a tempo here that is only for the strong. And he's got some help now. More riders coming up over the top. That looks like Samuel Travis of the Toronto Hustle team representing very well for that Canadian squad. Etta Friere, that's another one of the Legion riders. So there you go. That makes at least 4 Legions that we know up about in this front group here.
A little bit of
All right, they're
suffering
turning
now
the
on the back.
screws.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a difficult time. The chase group has just jumped onto the climb as well, and they're only 35 seconds back. We'll see what kind of pace. They're pushing 5.0 watts per kilometer. I do not believe the chase group is very interested in actually closing things down. I think it's a battle within themselves, but it is Timmy Bauer. If we can take a quick look, we'll see if we can see the back end of this group here. And here is Bauer now falling off, and it looks like 0 watts per kilogram. I think Bauer maybe with a dropout. Too bad to see there from Timmy. And now 6 seconds. That is not coming back. It looks like he'll have to go back to his teammates in the chase. But it's going to be Ben Schmoot on the back of this pack now at 5.7 watts per kilogram, as it is Legion 2 up on the front. Take a look at this. Lockwood there, it looks like, as well as Freyer. Now 7 watts per kilogram. And they've got Project Echelon right on the wheel. Talbot there from Cyrus the Pros Closet. They got a 1 second gap here between themselves and the rest of the group, now being shut down by Beck now. And then it is going to be Bashard Hall now coming across, as they saw that open up and want to close it down very quickly, as they just jump into a little bit of draft that you are able to get on this climb.
Hey, we've been having a lot of a lot of fun with our friends from USA Cycling. That's Wednesdays, if I remember correctly, Nathan. David Talbot is the top American. He's been sitting up in the top 5 in these really competitive international races that have been hosted by on Zwift. So Talbot is absolutely a rider to be watching for here. Wouter Zwart up there as well. So he's had a really good ride out here today. Let's see if he can finish it off with a podium spot. 36.5 kilometers in on Box Hill for the second of 3 times right now. Boy, so I was expecting Legion to destroy this group. It looks like they're going to keep their powder dry for at least a little while here. Look at that. Cormac McGeough moving up. Ernst, Williams, Hill, all doing a great job here on Box Hill. Eric Hill on Box Hill in full effect.
Yeah, we are seeing Zwart, it looks like, still trying to take over at the front. Now Greg here as well. Looks like Chris Beck is there. In real life, mountain biker Beck. Be watching out for him on these climbs. He's able to hang on, it looks like here. Usually an endurance specialist. And maybe today he may be able to use a little bit of that endurance on some of the last climbs, perhaps. If he's just able to hang on with these upfront punches here. But watch out for Chris Beck, as maybe this is going to suit his wheelhouse a little bit more. But now Freyer to the front there, 7.1 watts per kilometer. His teammate the last time up from the top with Lockwood. But this time Freyer from Legion, 416 on the front. Now Zwart just hanging on. It looks like Talbot now, a little bit of separation, but the pack seems to be bunched up. No serious kicks. It is a right-hand turn in just a moment here. There is an opportunity to gain some speed as it does flatten out. And if you do kick over this little bit of an uphill grind, you can have a little bit more speed than some of the other riders who are just trying to keep it steady and make some fireworks and a little bit of split from that. Doesn't look like it's going to be happening, though. Zwart now to the front, and then maybe stretching things out a little bit. Talbot up 7 watts per kilogram, but I think this is all going to stay together second time over the top of Box Hill.
Nathan just got information that Dan Fleeman is the unidentified Ceres, the Pros Closet rider, up in this front group. So that's good information to have. He's a very dangerous rider. That information would be valuable to anybody in this group. And Dan is saying, I wish they would have just kept that quiet, I'm sure. So I get it. Being able to ride under the radar when you're Dan Fleeman. I mean, Dan Fleeman was a journeyman World Tour pro. So he's certainly going to be a guy that we'll be watching for. Young Wouter Zwart, super impressive job for the rider on that Landis Trek team. I mentioned that squad out of Arizona. Always a fun team to watch. So, Nathan, there you go. Thanks. That's Dan Fleeman that you got right there, the Ceres TPC rider. So thank you for that heads up. I love our community, Nathan. Such a great group of folks that are always willing to throw you a hand when you need it.
Yeah, good to see Dan hanging out in the broadcast here, as it looks like we were able to figure out which rider we were looking at. Pretty fun that they were able to bring him in. And this is definitely going to be a danger man, I think, on this course. He knows how to suffer. We've seen him in the classics as well as the Tour of Watopia and the Tour de Zwift be a threat all the time. So Dan Fleeman, definitely one who is, we've been talking up Legion. We've been talking up all of the matches, all of the bullets that they have here. And I think that Fleeman definitely is going to be one of those from the Pros Classic Stars that is definitely going to have just as much of a chance, I would think, up against these top Conti pros.
Yeah, they match up really well, don't they? I mean, if you want to look at it like an NBA situation, they go man for man with the Legion team, and they, Holden Camo, his win, he beat Corey Williams in a straight up drag race to the line. I don't think Corey Williams wants to go through that again. Uh, Nathan, I believe he is still in this group. Again, you're going to see Tyler Williams, his teammate, is certainly there as we continue. I mean, it is a who's who when you look at it. Taking a look at the vanguard of this race is they're not all that far off from hitting one lap to go, one final lap of three circuits out here on the complex and challenging Greater London Loop. Boy, Nathan, I wonder, do we see, is today the day? I mean, typically esports races, you're the expert, but I would say 45 minutes is the generally what I would say is the duration. These guys are going to be going, with 63 total kilometers of racing. This should be well over an hour and 20 minutes of racing out here. A long, long time. Now, we had a guy, Timothy Rugg, who just rode virtually across America. That's 3,000 miles. I think he did it in 13 days. So there's a lot of range out here on the spectrum of esports and what people do on Zwift. But Nathan, comparing apples to apples, this is a long, long esports race today.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot longer than we usually get. I would say once in a while, usually the longest races that we usually have, we'd be coming into the finish line here at about this point. So with that extra lap, I think it's going to change things up. And I believe some of these riders, that was that effort over the top there. It wasn't a full on, there was no
Agreed.
serious attacks. I think they were just kind of doing the tempo that they needed, maybe not tempo, but threshold, definitely hard. See if anybody falls off, but they weren't taking the risk. You're risking energy. There's actually, in some of the conversations we've had around like game theory and esports, specifically around cycling, we've got a couple of things to work with here. And a big shout out to who we'd call the mad scientist, Greg Leal, on a lot of this, as he is a professor of game theory, actually, who was a rider for Team Turbo for quite a while. And shout out to him on some of these ideas here. But, the reality is you've got a couple of resources to work with in the game. You've got two variables, and those two variables are time and energy. And the energy that you are reserving in the body and when you should use it in this game, is, and I mean, a lot of people might like this just from a semantics point of view, but all races are games. You've got energy and time. And when are you going to use that energy? And I think the reserves that these riders were using over the top of Box Hill were specifically so that they could tactically use that energy at a later point in the game when there's
Agreed.
a little bit less time left to really throw down and use it at the most opportune time.
Well, and there's another, I agree completely with that, Nathan. There's another really important thing to remember now. If you're Legion of LA and you've got all of this horsepower, what's the most likely way that you can win this race? And I think the answer to that is Corey Williams in a reduced group sprint. In order to have Corey Williams in that sprint, you don't want to drop him out of this group. So what they're doing that's incredibly smart, next level tactics out here, is riding the front, setting the tempo, and they're communicating. And Corey is telling them this is fine, this is okay. You can see Corey's talked right in the group. If you looked at the TSS, which is basically the workload that the riders have taken on at this point, that's Corey sitting right there near the front of the group now. That TSS for Corey is going to be pretty low. And Nathan, I've heard you talk about this before. How, I mean, if you're Legion, you could not have set this up any better than they have. Now, this all kind of played out that way Friday night, and it ended up being the Saris Pros Closet team with Holden Camo who took the win. Now, today, you certainly you could use the old fool me once, fool me twice analogy. It's a little bit different here, but Corey Williams has played his cards perfectly up to this point. And if you're a fan of Corey, and I've seen him really grow as a rider over the last few years. If you went back and picked up the version of Corey Williams in 2016, he was more of the typical American crit racer, a good sprinter, didn't have the amazing range that you see in an endurance stage race type rider. Corey Williams went to work, and he added, his workload added a lot of climbing. Both he and his brother are now impossible to drop, I would say, or not impossible. No one's impossible to drop, but they're as hard to drop as anyone out there. And when you are a sprinter that people can't get rid of, you are pure gold in the sport of cycling. And look at Corey Williams. He is putting on a clinic in how to ride this race today. A little bit of a gap opening up, Nathan. I'm going to go back to you because it looks like I love that Above and Beyond Cancer team. They're also out of Arizona. It makes sense. Arizona is a great place to ride your bike for a good portion of the year. But we're going to be picking up, it looks like, Project Echelon and Zimmer hitting out now.
Yeah, and we do see it looks like Zimmer 5.6 watts per kilogram, but it was actually the Toronto Hustle team is being lapped. Actually, it looks like excuse me on that. But Gardner now 5.7 watts per kilogram coming from Gardner. E Hill there as well, and there was a little bit of a kick going into the final lap here. Maybe some organization, I think, coming from these teams to try and make something happen. Ernst here, DC Bank as well, and trying to perhaps get the better of Legion. I do not see Legion involved in this at all. KBS Elite here, we do have a Rana, and I just do a big shout out there to the YouTube chat cheering Rana on here from KBS Elite, and 174 beats per minute with 320 watts currently coming from this rider. I believe this is going to be a solo rider amongst the KBS Elite team, actually, but they are trying, it looks like, to drop off Legion. It looks like that's specifically the moves being made here, because that was very, very coordinated between a few of the other teams just for a moment there. Project Echelon, as well as Sars the Pros Closet, we did see some attacks coming from them for a moment there, trying to maybe give a one lap go with a flyer off the front and not have a sprint to the line.
Yeah, trying to catch the Legion boys on their back foot, and that did not happen. You can see Corey Lockwood immediately shot up to the front there. Did you say that we had a rider who was a lap down? And that's a tough place to be in a 3-lap race. Yeah,
down.
You're not going to get that back.
Lap down, it looked like. That is not coming back, it looks like. Toronto.
Yeah, I don't think you get that back, boys. No.
Not going to be happening. I believe that they are using the Elite kits. I'm just going to double check on that for the Toronto Hustle, that they are out here in the Elite kits. And yes, that is going to be here with Samuel. Did get picked up, it looks like, and Rutherham is here. I do not know what's happening in the rule books about this, but we'll see if perhaps there's a little bit of chatter that ends up happening in game.
Yeah, that's not going to be cool. Because you can't have a rider who's 20K back helping make the race. That's for sure. You know, the other thing that's worth noting, and I appreciate Ryan Carter letting me know that, Holden Camo is not in this group, the front group here, Nathan. And he was the guy that was able to overhaul Williams last night. So, again, advantage to the Legion team. They were able to get rid of the guy that beat them last week, right? I mean, that's a team operating at a very high level out here.
Yeah, I know we do see on the front, though, it looks like there's some moves happening here. This is interesting to see. In the tax kit here, it is going to be DC Bank and Dubuque here now, making a little bit of a move. Corey Lockwood shutting it down again. But yes, without Holden Camus. Now, Holden's not showing up on the day because it's not his type of course, I think, though, too. I think that there is a reality that the kind of the sprinting is really his game, and I have a feeling that perhaps they wanted to really put into the field all of their climbers out here today, and maybe Holden could have come.
Doesn't that make it more impressive? That makes it more impressive that Corey is still in this group, though, doesn't it?
100%. And Corey, I think I did see that as well in some of his recent Instagram posts, that he was saying this year is going to be different, and some other things, I think, about how much work he's been putting in specifically around this type of racing. And if he's able to keep that punch in there, as a racer, if he's able to have that still have that to the line, last 200 meters, full on 1,500, 1,600, watts kind of situation, on top of being able to climb like this, watch out, because this boy's on fire, it looks like. But look at this, now the fire's starting at the front. It does look like Project Echelon starting to open up gaps again. They are relentless alongside this Sars the Pros Closet team today.
Well, yeah, and I'm being corrected. Holden didn't even start the race, so they didn't.
No, he did not. He did not start the race.
So I apologize for that. That certainly makes more sense. So, but again, there's horses for courses in this sport, and sometimes you have to recognize that this is just not your thing. So, watching our man Eric Hill, our race organizer as well. Thanks a lot to Eric and Project Echelon for making this all possible. This is the Redlands Classic virtual edition here. in the COVID 2019 lockdown. And we appreciate Eric Hill having the vision. I hope it's true that we have a Gila to look forward to. Maybe a 3-stage Gila was the rumor that I was hearing, Nathan. So we've got a lot to look forward to out on Zwift, as I know so many of you have bottled up so much of that competitive spirit. 2-rider split coming together. Though, is this going to be, who's the Gutenplan coaching rider? Is it David Gutenplan himself?
It
I need to
may
take a look.
be. We'll have to double check and see here, but it does look like it's going to be Wetmore, maybe perhaps, that has made this lead group here with SCS
That's a
Good.
good call. Tucker Wetmore. Good call.
Yeah, so it does look like Wetmore, and I did see a post from Wetmore. I believe he had a solid result on Friday night here, so we're watching out for him. Guidish there also from Kelly Benefits is in here as well, it looks like. And then Above and Beyond Cancer here with Linder still hanging in. And a lot of these riders here, perhaps amongst them, have kept it a little bit calmer. You know, just because you haven't been putting fireworks on doesn't mean you don't have the power and you haven't been reserving it for later in the race. And it does look like Linder here making a move off the front here to try and go across to Eric Hill, as well as Matt Gardner from Cyrus the Pros Closet, and maybe catching some things out. And because of the size of the group and how many riders behind here, like Project Echelon and Cyrus TPC, they have the bulk of the riders besides Legion back there. So Above and Beyond Cancer, this is a good move from Linder to get involved here, because Legion are going to have to shut that down. And that's exactly what Freyer is doing here, going to the front. Now getting into a super tuck real quick there. What a smart move there for a second there from Freyer, trying to do the work for his team. He is going to be, actually, he just wants to get involved. You put 4 off the front here from all these teams, it might never come back, because there will be no motivation besides from a few of these solo riders behind. Freyer now going across. Lockwood now, is he going to shut it down for his teammate? No, he backs off to not close it down. So very smart move there from Lockwood, but they're going to have to really ramp it up ahead.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is bike racing at its very best that we're witnessing now, as they are bearing down on the finish. We're about 13K away from handing out the chocolates here. It looks like they are going to shut this down. These guys don't want to play around with anything. But Nathan, I got to tell you, unless you can make 7.5 watts per kilo for, I'm going to say, 3.5 minutes, as that surge will be coming this time as they hit Box Hill for the final trip. You're going to have to be throwing up some massive numbers to be able to hold on to the vanguard of the front of this race here. It's all going down on Box Hill here. Wouldn't expect to see more than 5 riders in that front group coming to the line. That's me. It's not these 5 that I'm talking about, although you never know. Reese Linder doing a tremendous job out here for the Above and Beyond Cancer team. Good work, Reese. But you can see that there's a lot of hungry wolves in this front group, and they're going to close this one down. It looks like, Nathan, we're going to see this welded back together here.
Still, though, we'll see. I don't know. There's a separation there, and it looks like right over the top. Greg now going 6.5 watts per kilogram. If a couple more riders come over the top here, this will be a full-on counter attack. Linder now keeping the pace high, it looks like. It's stretching out behind, and before we even hit the hill, we might see another break in this race here. It looks like, as Project Echelon continue to put fireworks down. Now Talbot here now from Cyrus TPC. Look at the 3 TPC riders. They are just keeping it chill, following the moves as need be, right where they need to be. They'll always have somebody ready to go to launch a counterattack or cover a move. They had 2 or 3 riders in that move just now, so they weren't looking to shut it down. They were just looking to make sure that they're in the right position if there is a counter, it looks like. But off the front, again, Project Echelon, a couple of suffering off the back here, it looks like, trying to grab back onto the wheels. It's going to be Walter Zwart as well as Cormac McGill, playing it smart though, perhaps, and not burning too many matches with some of these attempts to break things before we hit the hill.
Yeah, I got to be honest. If you're a rider who's a lap down right now, you should not be working in this group. That's not fair play.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what the race organizers have to say about it.
Well, it's not a criterium, Nathan. When you have this is a 20-kilometer loop, right? I'm talking fair play now. I don't know what the rules are, but it would make no sense to be 20 kilometers down in a race, because this is like missing a stage in a stage race and jumping in the next day. It's just not, 100%. It's not cool.
As far as fair play, we'll have to wait and see how that ends up playing out amongst the riders. Maybe he'll get a couple of messages on the app and say, "Hey, you got to back off from the group here."
Oh, they're giving them to him right now, I think.
But Eric Hill now 5.2. Frazier now we can see 2 seconds back. Gardner now, it looks like Doesn't look like anybody's really. So, for those of you who are unfamiliar with how this works, as far as the watts per kilogram on the right hand side, the orange numbers, when you see it go orange, you know that they're getting into somewhat of a semi sprint type effort to try and break things apart. A lot of times that's what it takes in order to get away from a group like this. Now, if that was going to be successful just a moment ago with Eric Hill from Project Echelon off the front, they needed to come across with a split, because otherwise you're just dragging the group up with you, and there's not going to be any kind of a split. So it did look like the Stars to Pros Closet was just looking to keep things together rather than go across into that attack here. It does look like it's calmed down. We'll see if anybody's got anything left in the tank here as we will click through a little bit, see where the heart rates are at. Car here, Team Skyline, 161, looking pretty comfortable, it looks like. It looks like Zach Gregg here as well, Project Echelon, 157. Walter Zwart, 142 from the Landis Trek team here. Definitely sitting in. So you can see the difference here between these heart rates. Corey Williams, 161. So you can see the riders who have kind of kept things, under tabs here for a moment rather than wasting their energy at this point. Just kind of rolls to the front.
To think that you could have your heart rate at 142 and be in this group, that's mind-blowing to anybody who's not an elite athlete. I mean, you get plenty of people who walk up 3 flights of stairs and their heart rate would be up at 142. So it just speaks to the quality of athletes that we've got up in this front group. Esports really brings out the best, that's for sure. And we've seen this over the last couple of months, more and more quality riders jumping in for these kind of events. So here we are. It's finale time. Redlands virtual here. This event started in 1985, right after the Los Angeles Olympics wrapped up. There was a huge surge in interest in bike racing in America, and the Redlands all-volunteer committee has just done a tremendous job of creating the race that helped us identify who the next great American champions are. And if you look at a list of winners of this race, it's quite a roll call, Nathan. 2 of them are in this race right now. The 2018 winner, I don't think Rivard has made the split. I'm not even sure if he started today now. I'm going to guess that he didn't, as I've learned that Holden didn't either. But now we have, it's a different kind of course. But it would have suited Rivard, which is what's interesting to me. But as we take a look here, Nathan, this is the front group. They're down to, we have 10K of racing for all intents and purposes.
Here we go.
So he did start. There you go.
Yeah,
he found
40.5K, and it looks like 65th place. He's holding off a few riders, and it looks like kudos to him for continuing on at 176 beats per minute. I mean, he's putting in a solid effort and getting to the finish line, after getting dropped from a group like this. Very big kudos to him for continuing on, hammering on for the result there out on course for the team.
And as we call a flat tire, he might have had a power dropout or something.
Maybe. There were a couple today. We actually did see a couple today. And, we've seen some amazing results from riders even after power dropouts. And it happens just like in real life racing. There's technical issues that happen once in a while with setups. And that might have been what was happening there as well. So it does look like Rivard is going to continue on with a solid workout. I see him pushing out a solid 4.5 watts per kilogram right now as he's about to start his last lap.
Hey, I just saw Noah Granigan is joining us. Noah had a huge win for the Floyd's Pro Cycling team last year at Redlands. It was the criterium on Saturday that Noah won. He's now riding with the Hincapie Lenovo team. So welcome, Noah. Good to see you out there. I see his team director, Scott McFarland, or the team owner, Scott McFarland, also joining us. So good to have you out there, guys. Thanks for all that you've done for the sport of cycling. This is the man to watch, Nathan. I don't think I'm alone on that one. I think that Corey Williams has a well-established reputation as a world-class sprinter, the California state champion on the Legion of LA team. And this would be the time, right? A flat, cold Coke.
Yeah, we're seeing that Reese is asking for a Coke on team radio. Better watch out, folks. So fun to hear about some of the things that are happening on in the background here.
So many things that apply in real racing apply when you're racing on Zwift as well. The one difference is that the fans, having good fan technology makes a big difference. It's really hard to stay cool, Nathan. I think, you just have the sweat pouring off you.
Great little question coming on through here.
Yep.
So I believe we are going to be going to the PRL finish line. It is not a KOM finish out there today. We are going all the way to the PRL finish line out there today. So it's 3 full laps of the Greater London Loop is what we are doing out there. Ryan Carter, thanks a lot for your question over on the Facebook feed. Keep your questions coming. We'll bring them on in as we head into the final climb here as this race heats up into its last 10K.
Yeah, 63 kilometers was the total distance that we've been working with. Dan Fleeman's going to be someone to watch here as well. Cormac McGee is still up in this group. And now I'm trying to identify as we really do our inventory right now, Nathan, how many other Wildlife Generation riders made it into this group? I know Danny Van Out, one of the really respected directors in American racing, is with us here. He's the Wildlife Generation team director. I'm not sure if the Beast has figured out how to communicate with the riders or not, but we do know he's got Cormac up in this front group.
Yeah, we do got a
Wouter
quick little
Zwart
question
is
coming
here.
on through here about the Ks to go on the screen. I do recognize, just so everybody knows, the some of the tools that are there for those little extra spices, little extra bells and whistles are not always available in the community organized races. So we're looking to get those and some updates, obviously, to the broadcast. So appreciate, though, the feedback, and we'll get that going as quickly as possible in the weeks to come. So appreciate that 100%. And you will see a little bit different look between some of the broadcasts that are out there in the world of Zwift racing. So, but we'll make sure to let you know when the final Ks are out here with a couple of on-screen notifications. We head into the box hill for the final time, though, and this, I think, is going to be a little different climb than we saw last lap. There's going to be a lot more fireworks. I think there's going to be a lot more risk taken for those that do not want to just sit in and wait for the sprint. And a lot of these racers mind, those who know they have the kick, they're just going to be following wheels. They're not going to be very interested in anything but making any splits. So they'll do the least amount as they possibly can to make the split. The other riders that really don't want to come to the line with a sprinter, they're going to be throttling it as much as they can to break things apart. Some of the teams, though, here, knowing that they got the sprinters here with Legion, I think, with Corey Williams, you think that maybe the job there with Legion is maybe just going to shut down gaps and keep Corey involved? Or is the job going to be about sending their climbers off the front, with Lockwood? Or perhaps we might not see something like that with, the pros closet taking over at the front. Maybe there's another rider sitting in here. We've seen quite a few riders not really stick their nose in the wind and just following moves most of these laps. And there might be more of a wild card, or one of these riders that are solo, don't have as many of their teammates involved, start to give some throws off the front in a second here.
You asked some really good questions, and that, Nathan, is why we make them race the entire distance, right? Because I I don't know. I'm really interested to see on my edge of the seat here, because that is really going to be the name of the game. I don't think you can control this group. If these guys like Dawson now are willing to attack, Talbot would be another rider that I'd be watching for. Dawson with Skyline, Talbot with the Sarah's TPC team. So really, the name of the game now is to take Legion out of their comfort zone, but they've got some real weapons there. Corey, so I think that they want to have their cake and eat it too. And actually, they probably want to eat yours as well. They're a hungry team, that pack of wolves that is Legion. So are they going to be able to just hold on, stay patient here, keep things together for Corey? I don't know. I really don't, Nathan. It's going to be an awful lot of fun to watch.
Interesting to see here as we talk. It is the pros closet on the front here. Cyrus pros closet making the moves with Talbot, and look at the back of the group. It's starting to implode for some of the riders. Wetmore's fallen off. We've seen Dubuque fall off. It looks like Cormac McGee has fallen off just behind here. And just on the right-hand side, you can see there
Corey's holding
Tyler
on.
Williams there. Corey's just holding on, it looks like here, but look behind. Tyler Williams, 8 watts per kilometer, 189 beats per minute on this third time over the top, and the legs are just seizing a lot of times after this much time in the saddle. And at these kind of, Lockwood's off the back, and it looks like Wetmore as well earns this pace being set at the front. Guidish, they're all falling. Bashard Hall, Carr, all off the back. Look at the front of this race now, and this is the decision time, and it looks like it's going to be Talbot now backing off. Look at, he did the damage and now backs off, and now who goes? It is at the front. It's going to be Freyer, actually, from Legion. 7.1. He smells the blood and tastes the blood in the water now, as you can see. Greg, and it's going to be Dan Fleeman. We said Dan Fleeman was one to watch out for. UCI World Tour rider now, who's riding full time into the esports world with this Cyrus Pros Closet team, sitting third wheel, and he has not been on the front very much at all. He's been one of these riders who have just been following wheels, and I believe this is the rider they've been working for this whole time, because we have not seen him take those flyers as the rest of the team from the Cyrus team out here on course.
Wow, it is good to have options. That's for sure. And that's the situation for Legion. All right, let's bring you back up to speed here. Look at this ride from Corey Williams. This is a next level performance. It looks like Corey Williams is not only holding on, he is taking the wood to him now. Corey Williams, you are a superstar. As Williams is not only, again, hanging into this race, he's making the race right now, Nathan. Look at what we're witnessing. That group is down to, I'm going to say, that's a baker's dozen that we've got up in what you would call the vanguard, the tête de la course of this race. The last time up Fox Hill, it's the race for the roses right now. Boy, this was not a scenario I expected to see, but absolutely we've got an OSS situation, Nathan. Only the strong survive.
Yeah, but it's about 5K to go. Good call out there from chat. It is about 5K to go over the top of the climb and then down the other side. And then it's going to be through the underground and over the London Bridge. So 8.5 here. Greg now followed by Fraser there. Dan Fleeman. And then it's going to be Larson, Ryan Larson, Walter Swart, Corey Williams. Arana has made this as well. KBS Elite is still in here. And now Talbot, Zimmer there is there as well. Above and Beyond Cancer with our Linder, it looks like. And Toronto Hustle hanging in with Ruderham. That's going to be a Gutenplan coaching here now, trying to hang on. They're one lap down. Not going to be happening as he gets lapped. Not going to be hanging on. And then 8 seconds back from the score. Luke, it's going to be Tyler Williams, 19 seconds. Corey Lockwood now back about, it looks like 8 seconds.
Yeah, they won't be back.
No,
that's it.
Stick and Ruderham's falling now. 181. He's not 3.3. It's said and done for him as well. This pace continues to kick at the front. Who's doing the work? And I believe it's Walter Zwart, perhaps. Yes, it is. Landis Trek, who's turning the screws now at 569 watts.
This is like Agatha Christie's 10 Little Indians, and then there were 9, and then there were 8. It's just an elimination game out here. But Walter Zwart, you have arrived, my friend. This guy is killing it right now, slaying these guys up in the front group. They're all chasing Walter Zwart. This is a big ride for Landis Trek. Again, they won this stage in reality last year with Quinn Simmons and Walter Zwart looking to become the next Quinn Simmons out here having a super ride. So he's going to tuck himself back into this group, Nathan. They're galloping now up this climb. You can watch it. This is a little bit of a downhill, actually, a flat spot now. There's a lot of information that you've got here on your screen, but you can watch the gradient and you can certainly see the watts per kilo that are being made. All right, we've taken it down to this very, very select group. We're about 3.5K from the finish.
Yeah, 3.5K, 3K to go, 3K to go out on course here. And they're going to be heading down Fox Hill in just a moment here. And from there, it's going to be a setup for maybe an attack out of the underground. I would really anticipate that. 10%. This is an opportunity here. 10% uphill grade. A lot of times you see a kick, and it's into the orange numbers just to hang on over the top here. And it does look like Fraser now from Landis Trek made his way to the front. 2 Landis Trek riders, actually. And interesting to see if him and Walter can really work together to do a 1-2 on this group. And it looks like they are pressing the pace here. Rana here, KBS Elite, almost falling off with Zimmer as well as Linder from Above and Beyond Cancer. Looks like he's going to just hang on as they press the pace over the top up into that 66 kilometers per hour onto the downhill.
How about Arana out here as well? Tremendous job, but I think the reality of the heavy hitters now, as they say, when the horse can smell the barn, everything changes. This is going to be Reese Linder of the Above and Beyond Cancer Center. Got to give credit to these. There's some names in this group that you might not have expected, Nathan. If you're one of those names, I got to give you credit. You certainly have arrived in the upper stratosphere of esports, because this has been a brutal 3 laps, a long race today, 63 total kilometers. Nathan, we're going to very quickly get to the finish. I love this moment in the race. If you don't have goosebumps, you should go see your doctor, because it is on like Donkey Kong from here on in. Can anybody beat Corey Williams? He comes in as the heavily tipped favorite, making this selection. It's going to come back together, Nathan. It looks like we're going to have about 15 gladiators fighting for the win here, the final stage of the virtual tour of Redlands 2020.
Look at as we do have Dan Fleeman now making his way to the front, and Dan Fleeman getting into that super tuck. Look at all the riders as they super tuck. That's a tactic in game. But if you're over a certain kilometers per hour, it's right around, I believe, 60 some kilometers per hour. For me, it's 35 miles per hour for me. That's how I always know it. But if you do the math there, right around that high 60s, and as you get into that super tuck on a -3% gradient, it gives you a boost in speed, just like in real life if you get super tucked on an extreme downhill. So as you do see the riders using that tactic, rolling through to keep the speeds as high as possible while also reserving as much energy as they possibly can. Corey Williams now to the front, 1.7 watts per kilometer. Everybody pretty chill, 146 beats per minute. No fireworks just yet, but what they're looking forward to perhaps is a kick out of the underground. That is the section to watch out for.
Well, in Las Vegas, the odds makers would certainly be giving you. I mean, I don't think you could even get 1-to-1 odds on Corey Williams. He's that big of a favorite in this group. But could someone upset the apple cart? That's the beautiful thing about the sport. He's not only is Corey Williams in this group, he's got a teammate that is the Mexican standout, and he's putting red numbers up on the board. Eder Frier. So Eder there, who in real life you couldn't imagine a better guy to be riding shotgun with you here. All right, we've set the table. Nathan, only one man gets to lick his plate clean, and they are now about 400 meters from the finish.
We do see it is an attack off the front very early, actually, here. It is going to be Freyer now making a move, and this is interesting. This is so tactical. Coming into the final K in just a moment here, and they are trying to set up so that the other riders have to chase. The other teams have to chase. They're going to set up Legion. If they have to close this down, Legion can sit in and just take a wheel, and it looks like it's Talbot here from Saris now making it happen, and look at those orange jerseys just taking over the pace.
Yeah, I mean, tactically, that was a smart move. Now, I got to be honest. I thought this race ended at 63K. It looks like we're going a little bit further than that. So I would have thought that Eder Frier move was timed perfectly. It might have been just a little bit early, Nathan, as we're going well over 63 here now. So, okay, it looks like, well, I don't know. Sorry.
Yeah, it's right into 64. It's going to be 64 kilometers total as we do hit the section here. There's a little bit of distance discrepancies here and there. Now 7.9 watts here coming from Corey Williams. Now it's going to be Dan Fleeman who made the move alongside him. This was a counterattack out of the underground. What a move here coming from Dan Fleeman. Corey Williams goes right along with him. It looks like Aronic here trying to shut that down. There's going to be no chase. This is going to be a head-to-head battle between Corey Williams and Dan Fleeman because there's teammates behind. It's going to have to be Project Echelon to shut it down. Project Echelon looking to make it happen, and it looks like Project Echelon is pulling this in. It might have been a huge mistake here from Legion and SARS, but SARS has other riders in here. Now it's Walter. Now it looks like Schwartz now going. Walter Schwartz now over the top, 8 watts per kilogram. What a move here now. It looks like coming from, it looks like Schwartz. Will he hold on? It's Schwartz now. 171 here. 11 watts per kilogram. Zimmer now, it looks like living a go over the top. Getting to the last 500 meters now. Talbot now holding on to the wheel. Talbot here from SARS TPC setting it up for the rest of the team. Here comes, it looks like Project Echelon. Greg trying to come over the top. Where are the rest of the riders? Everybody's blowing apart. The kick though to the line. Corey Williams 13 watts per kilogram from Corey. Corey looks to have had the upset over us to the riders. 12 watts per kilogram. Ryan Larson's trying to come across as he got the speed. It looks like Williams might be able to hold to the line. At the line, was it Williams? Was it Larson? I believe Williams held right at the line there. Oh my goodness.
We will be going to photo finish on that one. As you can see, oftentimes, Nathan Larson there, Ryan Larson, the rider who just at the line. I mean, obviously, we have to go look at that one. It's going to be into the thousandths of a second between our two winners. The rider who's finishing faster at the finish always looks like they won, but don't even want to guess. That is going to be incredibly close. What a finale we witnessed here. Wow.
Yeah, we have a couple of riders here coming to the line still. Lockwood now it looks like Lockwood was actually dropped off from the main pack as he just crosses the line. Kevin Bouchard Hall opening up behind. It looks like Rudenham now from Toronto Hustle. They're not going to catch him. Hustle though having to put a little hustle in the legs as they see 18 seconds behind here. This is for 11th, 12th, 13th and out here. Kevin Bouchard Hall now coming over the top. Westmore there as well. Tyler Williams, here he comes from Legion with a kick, but no, it's going to be Wetnor from the Guten Plan team making his way to the line. 9.6. Cormac McGill giving a last kick. Might nip it at the line. It looks like for that next spot. Looks like he made it happen. Solid kick there from Cork McGill. Let's take a quick look if we can find this replay for you, and then we'll get the results up on
All right.
the screen here in
Nathan, while you're
just
doing
a
that,
moment.
yeah, so the tactics out here, a lot of questions about how does in real life racing compare to esports on Zwift. Well, the tactics, the strategies, I mean, you could see that these teams came in with a game plan. They're communicating. There's director sportifs in the virtual team cars that are, dictating strategy. It's unbelievably similar to real racing, and you watched it's like a Shakespearean play. There's all of the ups and the downs, the twists and the turns, the drama, and certainly Corey Williams being the guy who's able to be there in that sprint is absolutely incredible. When you look at the quality of riders that didn't make that selection, that was as good as it gets, Nathan. Just outstanding racing out there today. And that wraps up our Redlands Classic here in 2020. Were you able to grab that?
We're looking to see, I believe,
See what we
we've
can
got
find.
the last 20 seconds here, but sometimes not always the best on the grab. It does look like we do have it. We do have
good.
the sprint to the line here. And let's go ahead and back this up just a little bit. As we do have Wetmore, it looks like that did come over the top. This was the sprint, looks like just the second one just a moment ago.
It started incredibly early, didn't it?
Yeah, it really, really, really did. But this was the sprint to the line for 12th and 13th place here. See if we can find the winner's sprint. But let's go ahead and bring the results up on screen here, since we're unable right this second to grab you guys the upfront results in just a second here. Is that actually Alex Fraser, is it saying, that took this down out here today? It'd be interesting to see if that is correct. Did Fraser actually come to the line ahead of the rest of the group? And from what I'm seeing
sometimes
here,
it takes a second for us to sort things out here. I wouldn't be 100% sure that that's your.
but it does look like
Let's.
Alex Fraser Moore, and followed
So,
up by Corey Williams, Ryan Larson, and that's actually on Zwift Power right now.
did you
Followed up by
see Alex
Zach
Fraser
Grayer.
in the group? I swear we were watching the front of the bike race and I didn't see him. But
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see on zwiftpower.com here real quickly and see if we do have an update on the results. But I believe it is showing Alex Fraser coming across the line on zwiftpower.com, Corey Williams. But
right.
we'll have to double check that. I believe so here's the thing. Between Corey Williams and Ryan Larson, between those two, I believe that's what we saw come to the line, though. So, and I believe we'll also have, there are screenshots being taken by each one of the riders to make sure that they all get the same results. We'll have to wait for Eric Hill to give me a message in the background here and let us know what kind of screenshots are coming in. But I believe if Alex is going to be removed from the overall results at the end, we'll be able to then have or backwards a little ways in that Corey Williams, Ryan Larson, then E. Freyer, Zach Gregg, Dan Fleeman, Zimmer, followed up by St. Arana, David Talbot, and then Reese Linder for Above and Beyond Cancer. But we to the line there, I have a feeling maybe it was Alex. He was in there. I did see him in the race. I definitely did see him in the race in that final group. We'll see if we can take a quick look at the replay as well. We're looking to try and get that up here in just a second. Interesting to see.
Yeah, so the sorting things out. Obviously, a big thank you to all of our riders for participating and keeping the spirit alive. Sending out our thoughts to the Redlands all-volunteer organizing committee. They do a tremendous job keeping that race rolling. It's the pride of Redlands, California, that's for sure. So hopefully we can be out racing in real life next year and enjoy that amazing community one more time. I always love being back in California, Nathan. So we thank the racers as well, putting on quite a show out here. They say that racers make the race, but when you give them a course like the Greater London Loop, it gives them a real palette to work with. Okay, it looks like so. This is why I'm not understanding where Alex was.
There he is, right there, second place behind Corey, coming on strong. Larson's right there as well. So it was actually a missed call in the green jersey, and there it is, right to the line. So there's the replay, neck and neck, and he did. He nipped him right there. There it is. So that was the results, everybody, and it was Ryan Larson for third place behind Corey Williams. So that was actually the correct results there, everybody. We just wanted to make sure
Wow.
How it
Okay.
came through, and it looks like
Credit where
Freyr
credit is
there.
due.
Credit where credit is due, that's for sure. So these are the results, everybody. That is absolutely correct. Alex Fraser-Moore just nips it at the line ahead of Corey Williams, Ryan Larson, Eve Freyer, Zach Gregg, Dan Fleeman, Matt Zimmer, Sate Arana, followed up by David Talbot, and then R. Linder. So that is
Alex,
Redlands
big
Virtual.
apologies. Yeah, big apologies there, Alex Fraser. That was quite a ride there to make that group and then come over the top of Corey Williams. Tip of my cap to you. Fully impressed.
Yeah, solid result there all around. Hey, everybody, we want to give a big shout out today to everybody that helped make this happen. All the Pro Conti teams that had shown up out here today, as well as the one invite that went out to the esports team with SARS the Pros Closet. Big thank you to Project Echelon. Make sure to go check out Project Echelon and show your support over with them. They do have a charity that they do support with veterans. Make sure to check that out. And big shout out to Redlands as well for allowing us to host this here over on the virtual world of Zwift. Shout out to Zwift as well and all the viewers. You guys all rock. We absolutely love doing this. It's been a great Sunday here for the Virtual and Redlands Classic. Dave, we'll be back next week for a whole lot more racing, as we almost
Come
always
join
are.
us.
Yeah,
I'd love to have you come join us. You don't have to be the world class guys like we had out here today. We have racing for all levels out there. So don't be shy. We'll love to see you out on Zwift.
Yeah, we'll be back on Tuesday for, I believe it's the final race in the Vitas 3R. So definitely check that out. It's going to be a lot of fun racing. And we've got racing almost every day of the week here on Zwift Community Live. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And we will see you Tuesday. As always, ride on.